Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor Lui Nishmas. I'm Biak Shalom Lab Yitzchok. We're holding in Avoda Zara Daf Lamed Tes. We're starting Daf Lamed Tes Amud Beis towards the last two dots at the bottom. So the Gemara says, you have these things that you pickle, you put into wine. That's also. It's only when you're darkon, so then you're saying that maybe not also bano, it's only also bachil. Al be yadua, you know for sure they put wine, also afilu bano. So then my shnom more rice. Rice is the fish brand. The shor abuna bano. So also lavur zoam. There the wine only removes the dirt. Here actually adds taste. Even if you know, why rice why rice according to our man is also unknown here, Rameir is not arguing. Similar to the of Aleph, meaning there it's the fish brand you dip in it, and the wine is also part of it. Here we're talking about you're eating only the vegetable, the liquid. You're not eating it, so you're just keeping it's like when you have pickles, right? Put the pickle in the water. You don't use the water. Your water is going to keep the pickles going. So therefore, I'm more makel on that wine. Okay. The more goes on. It says in the Mishnah, the Toris Trufo, the Tzir Shein Badogo. It says over there that when you have a mixture of fish, and you have a tzir, also it's a type of fish brand that doesn't have in it emodogo. There's no fish alive in it. And Rashi brought in the Mishnah that there's such thing when you have this combination of fish together, you're sending together, some fish grows there. So my chilik, and the Mishnah goes on to say in chilik, meaning what it said over there was just a losh of the Mishnah. The court, that was another type of fish. It says, my chilik, type of fish. This fish is in the water together with tamadic fish. Many times when you take out this fish, you take with the tamad fish. So he has there a combination of fish, Torah and tamad. The more now is referring to the fish, saying like this: if you have a fish that right now doesn't have scales, and it will grow later. Kegoin, I'll give you an example of fish. Hasultonis, which we just mentioned, that's why we bring this over here. Ve'aofitz, arezimutu. He has right now scales, and fins. You take it out of the water, it's going to fall off. Kegoin, akunos, ve'apunois, kataspayos, ve'achtaspayos, we don't because of fish. The atunos. Atunos is tuna fish. Mutar. It's mutar. As long as you add scales and scorpions at some stage, it's good enough. Achaz Ravo b'kisri. Ravo announced a kisri. Kirvei dogim ve'uborun, which means the inside of the fish and the uborun is the kirvei dogim is the oil of the fish, and the uborun is the eggs of the fish. Nikol mikol olam cheskason einam boim in impulso ve'aspano. No, that place, the only these types they're selling, they only sold from, there is a paluso, the spam is Spain, and there you have only kosher fish. Similar to what Rabbi said, that tzachanto is the type of fish of a place called Bab Nahara. Shai, my time maybe because the water goes very strong. And this fish that doesn't have a spine, so it can swim in the water where we have a strong current. We see they are able to stand. So there's an interesting discussion here in the Rishon. Does it mean we just change our mind and says they do have a spine? Or we're saying even though they do not have a spine, they're still able to swim in the current, against the current. Maybe because the water is very salty. Because it doesn't have scales, but is not able to survive in salty water. See, he does survive. Meaning that area does not, it's a more of an expression of Chazal, the dak tome, this mud, this earth of this area does not grow dak tome. In other words, the fish that's in that area is only dak tor. Now the other rivers go into it, Asiri, right? Because now the fish are joining that place. We're talking about what we're referring to. Rashi says, brings the Gemara in Chulin, Daf Kuf of Zayin, that any creature that you have in the sea, you have in the land, and vice versa. Except the chuldo, the type of rat, weasel, they have only in the Yabasha, not the Yam. So if any creature you have in the Yabasha, you have a similar equivalent creature in the sea. So now I'm going to refer to a few creatures, they have the name of the Yabasha, even though they're not the same thing, it's a fish, but they are equivalent to the one in the Yabasha. So something more the donkey of the sea, sure. The axe of the sea, also. Vesimonach, Tommy tar. In other words, whatever is tar over here is tar over there, is tar over there, is tar over there. There's a lot of gat and machshava regarding that, the Yabasha and the Yam, but just this is the Bosh Pshat the Gemara. Amadashi, Shafir Nuno, Shavi. A fish which is called Shafir Nuno is mutter. Kaddish Nuno Aser. But Kaddish Nuno is Aser. Simonach Kaddish Lashem. Kaddish Lashem means this Kaddish has Kedusha, you're not allowed to enjoy it. So also the fish called Kaddish, you're not allowed to enjoy it. Ikedami, some say, Cover Nuno Aser. That the fish which is called Cover Nuno is Aser. The Simonach Kiver Kechovim, which are Aser, meaning it's called a caver. That's caver. This brings you an opposite gear, so regarding something to the last sentence, Rigabi Kavarim wants to bring that the one who's called Kever is mutter, Simonach is Kiveret Kechovim that are mutter mitzad, they don't cause tumasoya. Rabbi Kiva Yikl Ginzak, it's similar to what the Gemara said before, Kiva Ked is this place called Ginzak. Also, Kamaya Nun, they brought on this fish to have a domi lechipusho. It looked like a type of chipusho, which is a type of dark tummy. He covered it in the basket. And then, because it was in a dark place, so now the scales fell off, and you could see it in the dark in the basket. So when you saw it in the light, you couldn't see the scales. But once it went to a dark place in the basket, you were able to see it. So he allowed it. The more brings a few stories like that. Ravashi Klo Tamudoya came down a place. I said, "Come here, Nuno Davidam and Sloifel." He gave him a fish looks like a Sloifel, which is dark tummy. He looked in front of the sun. Chaz David Beit Simchi. He saw that there was small scales. Vishar, he allowed it. Ravashi Klo asking the place. I said, "Come here, Nuno Davidomi Le Shafru Nuno." So they gave him a fish looks like another dark tummy. They put it into vessels which are white. So then the scales which were dark were seen, and it was not there. Another place, he brought this tzachanto, which is a fish that we mentioned that they grow in that place. He heard someone calling the fish, which is tzachanto. Tzachanto is a kosher fish. And someone called the bati, which is tomatic fish. And when the kakarli bati showing over tomi you see that with this mixture of good fish is also bad fish as well. He didn't eat from it. It's soft guy, but in the morning he looked at it carefully. He saw that amongst the fish there was dark tame. Nothing bad happens to tzaddik. Called him himself. And here another interesting mashal piece about why he called himself a tzaddik. Is it appropriate for someone to call himself a tzaddik? So now, what's called shechit is a type of vegetable that what they do with that is they cut it. The knife cuts it. And the problem over here is that the cutting, the chiltis is sharp. It takes out the whatever is in the kli comes out. That's the idea of charv that comes out. Right? So he says like this, my time you should, we'll see, let's get that in. My time you should not stick the core of the knife. Even though when you have the knife was not used 24 hours, so anything that comes out is nice time they've gone. Because there's sharpness in this fruit or vegetable, so it brings out, it makes the oil coming out of the knife better taste. It's called Yechezkel mishvach. So here you see this idea that the davar charif, when you cut it with a knife, it brings out, it sharpens the taste, it makes it bad. And for me, we have a discussion in the Poskim, when you're cutting onions or garlic. Onions more than garlic, onions. If you're cutting onions, do you say that you have a problem? It's not ben yomer. Because it has sharpness to it, it makes whatever's in the kli come out. So for example, you take a knife, they did use it 24 hours, but it was milchik, and you put it into, and you cut with it an onion which was fried in a flesh kapat, that's when you have a problem with the knife. The Shulchan Aruch is mekel in it. He says that the onions is not charif, and the Ramah in this case is machmir. That's what Ashkenazi machmir about a knife that touches an onion or anything which is a little sharp. The slave of Levi sold this childis. And what the question is, did he do it right or not? Is he doing it without the wrong knife? When Rav was nifter, the kid of Rav Yochanan, can you buy from him? The thing is that a slave of a chaver has a din of a chaver. And therefore, the same way the chaver you trust also the slave. So Ravuna used to buy tzitzis from the wife of Rav Am Chassid. Rav Am Chassid was nifter, bought from his wife. Also, in other words, he used to do, he wanted to know if it's okay to do it. They didn't know what to say, if it's okay to rely on the wife. Chanan Chayoto, the tailor found him. Yosef Anyo, he says, Yosef, the poor person, in other words, he doesn't know. He never didn't heard a shmur about that. But did he have I had a store. I bought tzitzis from the wife of Rav Noah. I went to Rav Noah to ask if it's okay. You came to me. It's a good thing because I heard the shmur. A wife, I'm relying and trusting the wife of a chaver, even though she's not a chaver, she's not a chacham. Even after she continues to do the right thing. Second Torah, after shechaver, both things are brought in the brayso. The wife of a chaver we treat as a chaver, and the slave of a chaver we treat as a chaver. Chaver shemeis, chaver that died, ishto yuvonu uvnei beiso yareim bechizkosom, we trust them, until you find something reason to assume they're doing something wrong. You have a location, a chatzer, that sells batchelas. We assume it's still okay until you find otherwise. You have a wife of Amoritz got married to a Talmid Chacham. Or a daughter of Amoritz got married to a Talmid Chacham. Who sold to Talmid Chacham. They have to accept and say, I'm going to follow Rabbanon's decrees and do all the chumras Rabbanon say. Remember, those days, Rabbanon had the decrees, and the Amaratza did not accept it. And that's why we have all kinds of different herchekim from the Amaratza. It was the opposite. The wife of a chaver got married to Amoritz. They don't accept it, we assume it's still okay. I mentioned the whole time chaver to b'choch, but I don't say to b'choch, but someone that joined the b'chochim and accepted divrei chaverus. They do have to accept it again. Give you a story. There was a wife, she needs the chaver. She would put tefillin on his head. She got married to a moiches. The moiches usually in the Gemara is a very derogatory thing. The tax collector was stealing a bill. She did the signatures of the moiches on his hand. In other words, the wife always follows the husband. When the husband is a chaver, she helps him doing tefillin. The husband is a moiches, she does it moiches. So therefore, we assume that you go beside the husband. If I don't know otherwise, I say whatever the husband is, that's for the wife as well. I mean, you should go coming from a chavet amoritz. What does it mean? Referring here to sending items from one location to another. What do you need? We mentioned a little earlier in the Gemara, Choisom and Choisom to Choisom. Choisom means that it's sealed, and Choisom to Choisom is a double seal. What do we rely on? One seal when you need to have two. So it says around Chavis also b'Choisom echad. Champag muta b'Choisom echad. What's Chavis? What's Champag? It's a simon. Chavis is Cholav, Bosor, Yain, Cheves. Milk, meat, wine, and tzitzis. Along with base. All this Asur b'Choisom echad, you need to have at least a double, you have to have a double seal. Chiltis, Morais. Chiltis is the fish, and Morais is the fish brand. Pas is the bread and gvina. Mutar b'Choisom echad. Rashi explains because it's not worth it to go and switch it. The other ones, it's very expensive. So if I switch milk of a goy to milk of Yisrael, you can make a lot of money in it. So therefore, you're choshed that he's doing it. But and these ones are not so expensive, so he put one seal is not going to do it. Now, it says more pass. Now, this according to the use of Rashi, and the Bach brings it. This few lines in the Gemara goes right after, but we're going to read it now, going with our Gersu. Pass the mine. So what's the problem with pass? Even shumichlufe, because they're going to switch it. Karir b'chamia me'adia. If it's fresh bread or old bread, you see the difference. The chiti b'sari na me'adia. Wheat and barley, you know the difference. If it's exactly the same thing, so if it's only one seal, it's good enough. So according to our Gersa, this is not a question, this is just a statement explaining why bread is okay with one seal. Because he's not going to switch it. If it's different, right away you'll know the difference. If it's not different, so what do you gain? Says the Gemara, why Rav did that, when he mentioned these simonim, he mentioned cheese is okay, but the milk is not okay with one seal. What's the difference? White cheese is not going to change from Zayef, and so milk and cheese, the same, just the milk became cheese. You're right. Take out milk, put instead a piece of fish. It says more basar. We said meat. Tree gavni basar. There's two types of meat. There's meat, which is animal meat, and there's fish meat. The Shmuel Amar, he said, don't say chavis, but only bis or bais also. He took away chalav. Machog mutter. So what is he saying? Basar yain tcheles asurim b'choisom echad. He took away the milk. Morais and then the piece of meat, a fish. Morais chiltas gvina mutar b'choisom echad, took away the bread. So according to Rashi now, that's what the Gemara quotes the Gemara before. Pass. You know why he took away bread? Because bread is not a chiddush. Of course, bread I'm relying on b'choisom. I have to tell you that. Now the shmuel chatichas chadok sheva siva ainu basar. And the shmuel chadok sheva siva, why you don't mention it? Siva, why? Ainu basar. Trei gavni basar l'amina. You know, yes, it's meat. It's meat. So that's why trei gavni basar l'amina. Meaning, why does he take on milk? Because we said milk and cheese are the same. Why doesn't he say bread? Because bread is pasha. There's no chiddush. Why does he mention chatichas dag, a piece of fish? Sorry. Because that's exactly like meat. Says the Gemara Torah in Loichim Yemach Machag Besurya. I don't buy these items in Syria because they're the Balabatim, the people that sell, they're a chashud that they'll sell you something wrong even though they're Jews. Lo yain, not wine. Lo murais, the fish brand. Lo chol, milk. Lo melech, not salt. Melech sal kondonis. V'lo chiltis. That's the type of salt. V'lo chiltis, we mentioned before. V'lo gvino, cheese. Ele mina mumcha. Let's see the expert. The kulim is sareach. It's about if he was his guest. Mutter. Sarah lev shub and lev levi shogel ba'abais leveiso. If the ba'abais said this as mutter, try ba'abais lo shogel getev ochel yisur v'chim mishageli ma'ad ochel mishadeli. He himself, the Jew, is eating kosher. And wherever he's selling, or he's inviting someone to his house, or selling food from his house, you can rely on it. But whatever he sells in his store, then I don't rely on. Now, we mentioned Melech Sal Kadonis, why Melech Sal Kadonis? All the kosher people of Roimi, all the bakers of Roimi, they eat it. And what's the reason? Because they mix in it the pieces of fish which are tar. It's black, it's also. Levon muteres tivir amin. So Rabbeinu holds this is black and white. He allows the white. I mean, this is the opposite. Levon asur shchei muteres. They're both asur. Why is white asur? Because the inside parts of the white fish is in it. So it's you can't recognize it if it's white. If it's black, you'll recognize it. He says what they mix in it is the inside of black fish. So if it's black, you can't recognize it. White, you could. Both are mixed up in it. He would put on it the fat of a pig, and that's why it's always asur. So we mentioned in the Mishnah, we summarized the Mishnah, all this is asur. What do you come to exclude? Yechezkel and be a dua that we mentioned before, and we started today, that the yadua asur ba'ano, so that's not part of the list. Is coming to take away the fish brand and the cheese of that place, which we mentioned in the previous Mishnah, that according to our mayor is asur ba'ano. This Mishnah we just concluded gave a whole list of things which are mutar ba'ano. So the Mishnah. Ve'elu mutarin b'achilu. The following you could eat from a goy. If you have milk that a goy is milking in the Jew season. Ve'adash, honey. Ve'hadav davaniyos, which Rashi says is grapes. Even though liquid comes out of it. Don't say they become tameh, because the liquid doesn't make the kosher kabel tuba. Usually liquid is mash kabel tuba. But this is what it is, we'll see the word in a moment. And if you have things you pickle, store, but they don't put it in, usually they don't put it in wine or vinegar. The fish which is not mixed up, you see the actual fish, you can recognize it. You have the fish mixture that has it in the live fish. The other shilchilti is that you can recognize that it's not, again, not mixed. That's the opposite we saw before. They didn't cut it with a knife. The opposite was before. Vezite gluskois amigulgolim. So you have these olives that are connected together. And the Gemara is going to explain what's the chiddush. Ashlochim asurim. Talk about the olives. We'll see what it means in the Gemara. And then a chagavia boy mina slula asurim. Slula is sold in a basket in front of in the market because he puts it in a little wine. Asurim mina heptek, which is a place where they store it. Mutarim b'chil truma, and we'll see more about that in the Gemara in the last part of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Tanina latu rabbanon Yeshiva Yisrael b'tzad edru shel kechovim v'kechovim choyleloi meviloi v'eino choshish. A Jew sits next to the pen of a goy, and he sees the goy milking, he can drink from it. Says the Gemara, what's the case? There's no animal which is tameh, there's only cows over there. Pshita, what's the chiddush? If there is an animal which is tameh, am I? Right? And he's able to see it, right? If he's standing up, he can see it. When he's sitting down, he can't see it. So the Yisrael is sitting most of the time, and sometimes he gets up. Maybe the guy went and took the chol of Talmud from the animal. He knows the Yisrael can always get up and look at him, so he's afraid, and that's why you fear here of the source, that as long as the Yisrael can see him to a certain degree, you have cameras and things like that, so you know that the chol is not Torah. Ve'advash is honey. Similar dvash l'may nechushlo. What's the chash? The word explains why is it mutter. If because you mix something else, wine or vinegar, it makes it spoiled. Because they cook it, you can eat it raw, as we saw yesterday's daf. Anything raw is not bishulako. Because maybe you put it into a kli and there's taste that comes from the kli. It's a taste that comes out after 24 hours and doesn't affect the honey. We saw the liquid that comes out of it doesn't cause a machshir tumor. You cut grapes to bring it to the winery. It becomes kosher kabel tumor from the liquid. He'll agree to shamai. So what's the difference between that grape and this grape? So also kabayil lemashke, achel kabayil lemashke. I'm sure you're going to ask what's the chiddush. Meaning, there, why do you have the grapes? You want to make wine out of it. So you want the liquid coming out. If you wanted, the liquid is machshel kavatum. Habayas, he wants only the grapes. He doesn't want the liquid. He wants the liquid coming out of it, say loy nichale. Anything loy nichale, the liquid is not machshel kavatum. It doesn't make it kosher kavatum. There's no tumah you have over here coming from the goy. We'll stop over here. Be'ez Hashem, we'll continue with this tomorrow, tonight. And